Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Grave, the podcast where I talk to friends, family, and even strangers about their paranormal experiences. We are back from our Thanksgiving break. I hope that everyone had a nice time with their families, or not. However you choose to spend the holidays is obviously up to you. Getting right into it, today's episode features my friend Jake, who I met on TikTok. He is a horror content creator like myself and has some very strong opinions on the Scream franchise. And for those of you interested, you can find him on Instagram and TikTok just by searching Mr. Bones. But if for some reason that's not enough, his handle is Macabre Mr. Bones. So check him out, he's a super nice dude and I really enjoy his content. This week also begins a rather long stint of stories from folks who I've met on TikTok and have reached out to tell their stories. And there is a fair possibility that these actually lead all the way up to the end of the season. So buckle up for my TikTok friends. Today's episode takes us to Jake's family-owned gas station, where unfortunately a man passed away while using the bathroom. And while it is certainly a fairly inglorious place to die, it seems like Jake got the worst of it after he began to experience strange things happening in the store when he was working there. So without further ado, here are Jake's experiences at his haunted family gas station.
All right. So, my parents have owned a gas station like my whole life. They bought it from my grandparents, so it's been in the family for a really long time, and I've basically worked there since I was little, just being there really, and then I started working there when I was old enough to work.
Yep.
And anyway, one Sunday morning when my mom was working, normal Sunday morning, people in and out before church, getting coffee and donuts, and the normal before church crowd was sitting in our back area drinking their coffee, and my mom goes back there and talks to them, and eventually this little lady comes in and says, my husband came in here a while ago and he hasn't come back out yet. Well, it's not a very big store, so while he's not in here, they checked the bathroom and the door was locked. Knocked on the door, nothing. The guys in the back, at least one of them was a fireman at the time and an EMT.
Mm-hmm.
This will come back later. The door lock was just kind of one of those cheap slide locks.
Yeah.
So it didn't take much to get that door to bust open.
Right.
And unfortunately, there the man was sitting on the toilet and he was gone.
Elvis style.
Yeah. He had a heart attack and that was it. And, that sounds funny. He was on the toilet and bathroom related things, but that's what happened.
Still a tough day, it's not ideal.
Yeah. So of course, funny little things happen, noises, sounds like something falls, and you go into the back room and you check and there's nothing there, and I swear I put this on this counter but it was over here. So I say jokingly, but not as in a funny way, but we would always say, it was the ghost.
Yeah.
Whether anybody else believes in that kind of stuff as far as my family goes, I guess I don't really know, but I was always open to it. Mm-hmm. So as I said, jokingly, but also kind of like, well, maybe he did, and kind of as I got older and I worked more, certain things would kind of creep me out a little bit, and I would just be like, I know you're here. I didn't forget. We didn't forget you. And just in case.
Was it like more like a feeling, like something like a feeling like you've been being watched, or is it like things falling off shelves, or like what was the?
Kind of a little of both. Like I mentioned before, it would sound like a box fell in the back room or something, and then we would go check, and they just can't find anything that would have made that noise.
Right. And
then there was a lot of times that it did feel like I was, somebody else was there because I work nights. Mm. So it would get a little boring sometimes in the later hours. And it was one of those things where all of a sudden it was like, oh God, somebody's in here. Like, have I been talking to myself out loud and this person's listening? So I look around, I'm like, oh, nobody's here. So just a little of both, and like I mentioned, things moving around. Some things were bigger items that I had to have just misplaced, but it was just sort of the feeling of like, I don't think I did though.
I was gonna say, is like you leave like your keys somewhere and they'd end up like being on the floor or somewhere else entirely.
Basically, one specific time was I put so I put some food on the counter in front of our microwave because I was going to make my meal. I went to the back, was doing whatever, or I went and waited on a customer or something. I don't know. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I go back to get it and it was not by the microwave anymore. And I'm like, I put it here and I went and did this other thing and I came back. I could not have moved it to this other counter where it was. I don't know. It happened. And it's one of those things, you're busy. Maybe you did it. But I just really don't think I did.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah. And so other than little things, I don't really know if there was anything bigger that happened to anyone else besides me. Two specific stories about the bathroom itself.
Good.
The one was I went to open the door. Nobody had been in there. And the toilet was mid-flush. Now, this was not an automatic toilet. So it wasn't like I was opening the door and something was sensed by the sensor and it went off. It was like the button had been pushed right before I opened the door. Sometimes toilets will run, but they don't just flush.
Right. Yeah.
So that was like, okay, that's...
Especially because, that's where the guy died, right? So it's like...
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, John, I know you're here. Like I said, I know you're here. And then, so that was just kind of like a sillier one, but another one was when I was in the bathroom. I was washing my hands. And now, like I mentioned before, the lock on that door was kind of chintzy.
Flimsy, yeah.
Yeah. So when you turn the knob to the door, it would open like a quarter of an inch, and that slide lock would catch it. So that happened a lot when someone was in the bathroom. It just gave just enough, but you knew it was locked, so someone was in there.
Yep.
And that has happened to me on many occasions. So when it happened, I quick turned to open the door because I was just about done washing my hands or whatever. So I was going to say, "You're up." And I unlocked it, opened the door, and there wasn't anybody there. Like I said, this is a small building. And weirdly enough, it happens sometimes that somebody will try to go in the bathroom and it'll be locked and they just turn and leave. They just leave the building. They don't wait. And I have no explanation for that. Like, just wait a minute, right?
Right, yeah.
But sometimes it's locked and they just turn and walk out the door. So my thought was they were doing that because they weren't standing right outside the door. So I look around the corner, nothing. If they had went out the door, there's no way they could have done it fast enough that the door would have closed on its own and been closed by the time I just turned a corner.
Right.
So something turned to the knob of that door, but nobody was in there.
Huh. And is it something where like can you hear like is it a... I'm imagining if the lock's fairly flimsy, the door is not necessarily like super thick. Would you say that maybe sometimes like you could even hear people outside the door if they're like walking up to it or walking away from it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Didn't hear a thing.
There you go. There you go.
Just a weird, unexplainable thing having to do with the bathroom, knowing that that's where he died.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things like, you didn't have to do that, John. I know you're here. I remember. So those are kind of the two smaller stories, and all of the other little kind of inconsequential things.
Sure.
But there was one time that it was a little more than that, and this one wasn't bathroom related, but still, the same type of situation.
Yeah.
We have a soft serve ice cream machine, and it's right next to the counter. and there's very little room between that and then like the rack that's sitting there to where you have to get behind the counter.
Yep.
And like I said, family business for a while there. It was my mom, my dad, my sister, and I that worked there. So if we, one person was standing at the ice cream machine and another person needed to get behind the counter, it was not unusual to put your hand on their back to let you know, like I'm squeezing behind you.
Yep.
And this was one night when I was closing up and I was cleaning the ice cream machine. And I don't even remember the situation to why my mom was there helping me because she worked mornings. But she was there at the time. And so I was cleaning the ice cream machine and she was back and forth behind me and filling coolers and everything. And so I'm doing my thing and I, feel her touch my back like she's going to squeeze behind the counter for whatever reason. So I leaned back to look to see if like a customer had come in or something. And she wasn't even behind the counter. So I'm like, what the? So I turned and like, is she over here? Is she way? She was as far away from me as she could be, like within my line of sight at that time. My mom is not that quick.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And, of course, my mind is like, okay, maybe it was the fan kicked on and my shirt blew a little bit or something, but it was the feel of the hand on my back.
I was gonna say, was it more of like a caress, or was it more like just like a hand on the, like a firm?
Just that letting you know I'm behind you thing.
Gotcha.
Just a placing your hand on your back. And it kind of sunk in a little bit, and I remember I got the chills, and it was just like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And some people say they get grabbed, they get pushed, their hair gets pulled or whatever. Mine was just a gentle touch on the back and
friendly pat on the back.
Yeah. And like I said, I've always been open to that kind of stuff, and I believe certain people when they tell stories. I'm not religious. I don't have any sorts of inklings that way, but that was like pretty profound. Like,
yeah,
something touched me. And we've had these other experiences.
Right.
Just don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, kind of a culmination of everything.
Right.
Leads to, one possible outcome or answer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's wild, man. I've been doing this for a little bit now, and like Honda gas station was not on the bingo card, so this is great to to add to the collection.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, everybody's, old houses or cemeteries or this or that. Totally unique experience.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask too, like, I'm assuming, I mean, you were young, obviously, but it wasn't until this man passed in the bathroom that anything strange started going on.
Not that I know of. I was in probably, I don't know, middle school or early high school. So I didn't actually like work there full time or anything when he passed. So before that, I guess I don't really know. And I don't know, my mom probably wouldn't think much of it. And I know my dad would never have any sort of feeling like there's a ghost in there because that's just not his style.
Okay.
So I don't know if it wasn't until like I started saying, "Oh, it was a ghost," with unexplainable things, and then it just sort of turned into that. But like I said earlier, I don't know if anyone else ever really believed it all that much. But I sort of did, and then I really did.
Yeah, you got the experience. What that last experience, the pat on the back, was that fairly recent, or was it a few years ago?
Oh, this was years ago. I haven't worked there in about 3 years now, anyways, and this was probably 5 or 6 years before that, even.
Okay.
So it's been a while, and then of course after that there was the small things still.
But no stories from any from maybe either one of your parents or anyone who's worked there since.
I should have asked since I haven't been there in a few years, but nothing that I've heard of.
Okay, next time you're in there, poke around, see what's see what's going on. That would be great. And that is going to do it for Jake's time here on The Grave. It's not often you get a haunted gas station story, so when he mentioned that's what he had for me, I almost couldn't say no. I hope you enjoyed his tales. I think apart from actually getting touched by the potential spirit of the guy who died there, getting bothered in the bathroom by a ghost has got to be one of the worst places to experience that. Next week, we are talking to Alina, who reached out to me via TikTok, and she grew up in a haunted house that had some very strange things occur within its walls. So definitely stay tuned for that next Friday. But as always, guys, thanks for listening, and I hope to have you all back for some more scary stories.